Jay, it's been a while. It's been a
Yep,
while, Jay.
yep. Almost too long.
Yeah. Yeah. Vacation plus work and scheduling conflicts means long time no publish. I
Yep.
missed our discussions. How about you?
Yeah. I have two. And I know we talked about changing some things up, and I did give that some thought. And yeah. We'll get everything squared away when we can. But I've missed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to try and move quickly. I've got a meeting with a client in a couple hours, so no time to dilly daddle, whatever it
Yeah.
is. So, we're going to give it a brief update on how the cruises went. Maybe next week we can do a longer one, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll get a brief update for Jay on how his cruises went, and then we're going to talk about what new hardware entered into our families and our homes, and what should have that didn't.
Yeah.
Um, then for the main part of the show, we're just going to breeze through a list of hardware and software because we've actually had another release, right, since we last recorded. So we've had another release. All the new hardware is out. We've got experience with some of it. So we're going to breeze through this list of cool things and issues that we're seeing because this is your typical fall for Apple nowadays with their operating system being so complex. They just can't seem to nail everything down on the first pass. So we're going to talk through a bunch of that stuff. So, and because of the length of that list, no post show.
Yeah.
So, how does that sound?
Yeah. That sounds good. Let's get into it.
All right, hit the music. All right, this is the Gadgets for Families show where you get two grandpas, Jay and me, talking about tech, life, and many other things. As we always say, we have opinions. So if you want a show that's got opinions, this is the show for you. So I'm your
Yep.
host, Greg Cunningham.
And I'm your host, Jay Benjamin. Thank you for joining us today. This is episode 60, right?
Yeah, round number 60, more than a year's worth of episodes if we really were to release every week. It's been a little bit longer than that because I think we launched in May of last year. So a
Yep.
little bit more than a year we've been doing this. And, I'd love to say that we're going to be able to continue this every single week thing, but it's getting hard. And maybe sometime we can spend a post show and explain what's going on with my career stuff and with your business and why it's getting a
Yep.
little bit dicier to be consistent. So we make no promises.
Yeah.
So it'll be a
But we're
pleasant
here.
surprise when G for F shows up in your feed.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're here now. We're here today. So,
Right, right. Now, good show plan today. Like I said, we're going to go through this list of stuff that we have about the hardware and the software. If you got anybody in your life that's kind of questioning, should I get the new hardware? What's going on? Should I upgrade to the new OSs? What should I be really looking at in the new OSs? Because there is so much. We're not going to do the Brandon Butch cover 450 gazillion things different, but we're going to talk about some of those key things. So share the show out. We appreciate all of you that listen on a regular basis or watch the show. Um, let's dive in. Jay,
yep.
10 days. You said 2 weeks, and I was surprised when you text me and said I'm back, and it was the middle
Right.
of week 2. But 10 days on cruises, how'd it go?
Yep. So 12 days, 12 days at sea.
All right.
And I had a blast. It was exactly what I needed. Um, the first week was on the Carnival Jubilee, which is the latest ship in the fleet. It is the newest one. The carpet still smells fresh. It still has that new carpet smell. There are some things on that ship that I just don't see myself cruising without in the future. And then enjoyed that with the kids. Got back to port in Galveston, sent the kids home with my sister-in-law, and my wife and I jumped back on another ship, which is one of the oldest ships in the fleet. So, so it was kind of that night and day kind of experience. And just to sum it up, we had a great time the first week. Awesome ship, new. Next week, it was a bit of a change, and we got our banner stolen. And we have a cruise banner with all of our ports that we've been to. We buy magnets and keychains and everything, and we hang it on the banner. It's been with us on on a few cruises, and yep, this last one on the last sea day, someone stole it. So that was a bit of a bummer. Enjoyed it all the way up until that point, but they stole the banner, but they can't steal all of the memories, right? We've been
Right.
to each and every one of those ports. We actually purchased each and every one of those magnets and keychains on our own. We purchased it at the place, so you can have those magnets if it means that much to you, but you'll never take the memories. So, and we can just, and I've already have jumped on Amazon and eBay and found half of those magnets again. So, and we're talking $3 here, $2 here, $5 for some of the more expensive ones. But, I'm frugal, so I don't have any $30 magnets on there. So all in all, we may have lost out on about, maybe $50 with all of the different ports, and we still were missing, maybe 10 ports on there. Um, but yeah. Other than that, had a great time. Ready to
You
come
know,
back, get to work.
it's kind of amazing how much something, and you tell yourself that things like that really shouldn't matter because it's the journey and making the memories that matter the most, right?
Right,
But it's
right.
amazing how much something like that can really just eat
Yeah,
at you, right?
yeah.
And get you frustrated and throw you off.
Yeah, yep. So thankfully it happened on the last night of the vacation, because that last night, I think I was in for the night. We made, security came by and we made the report and stuff, and I don't think I went back out that night. That's how bummed I was. But yeah, I told myself, because the week before we had bought three more, and we put them on, and it was just full. No more could fit, so we had to actually buy a longer a banner for it. And I told myself I was going to put an air tag on it when we got back. And yep, sure enough, someone got it before I was able to put an air tag on it. And again, not a huge value, but man, yeah, a lot of sentimental value. A lot of those were some of the oldest magnets that we had, that we've been to. Some were in Phoenix, and when we went to my wife's graduation, and some from that trip. And yeah, it just really bummed me out. It, like I said, not a huge value. It's not like I lost an iPhone or something like that, but yeah, it still, it was a bummer.
Yeah. On the plus side, going into the tech side of things, you sent me a picture, and I swear you were at 10 forward on the Star Trek Enterprise. That was so
Right.
cool.
So while we were sitting there, we were waiting for, we were going to a trivia or something. I sit here and I took that picture for you, because I'm sitting there like, this is the most Star Trekky I've ever been on a cruise ship. And yet looking down the aisle, and they have these big windows at the top, and each window, it's sort of like the Star Wars experience that you showed me. There's actually a TV behind it, a monitor or whatever. And they had the stars, just like the space. It's like we were traveling through space, and the blue LEDs were wrapping around the edge of the hallway. It just looked so futuristic. It was really cool.
Yeah,
So
that
I had to
was.
take that picture and send it to you. There's a couple of more pictures that I needed to send you too. Some Disney art and stuff I forgot to send over. I'll
We're,
send them today.
we're going to talk about pictures quite a bit today, I think. So
Yeah.
we'll hold on
Oh
that.
yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about what new hardware ended up in our homes. And Jay, I'll have you go first because your list is a little smaller, and there's one planned piece in there you better explain just a little bit on too. But what new hardware ended up in your home?
Right, right. So we did get my wife 16 and her Series 10 watch, and everything went good. Got it set up, got the watch paired and everything, and she was off to the races. And then the next day, what did I say? It was like 25, 26 hours later. She shows me her phone, and she's like, "Look what happened." And that was the biggest gash, worse than her 13, which has scratches on it. It has a few scratches on it, but this scratch was worse than anything on her 13, which she's carried since release day of the iPhone 13. And I'm like, okay, let's just go ahead and pay the $30. It's strange to pay to get Apple Care, they have to file a claim, do a screen repair less than a day later on a brand new phone. But let's go ahead and pay the $30 and go ahead. That's why we pay for it. So
Yeah,
the rep was really cool. He was like, just return it, and get another one, and make sure you put yours. Oh, the reason why she has the scratch is because the screen protector, of course, Prime is 2-day delivery on the particular one that she picked. And it wasn't going to be on until later that same day. So she had to go and get it. And I said, when you get the new phone, bring it to me. I'll make sure the screen protector goes on
Yeah.
and all of that. So that went good. Well, my intentions was to walk out with my Pro Max that same day. Um, Apple Store was really limited on Pro and Pro Max. I think they only had terabyte versions of the Pro Max, which I don't need.
Nope.
All the other sizes, all the other capacities and colors were sold out. And I think they had one Pro in black, which is, I didn't want the smaller Pro. So he said, well, we get them all the time. Just come back next week. Also, I sat down for my appointment to get the screen replaced. They found an issue with the battery. So she says it's going to be maybe a couple of hours before you get the phone back. I didn't have the time that day. I set the appointment for yesterday morning. And of course, Greg knows I didn't have the time then to replace that. So I had to cancel that. And so I'm still on my 14 Pro Max. Greg asked me, he's like, why are you taking so long? And someone else is paying for the phone. You're right, Greg. I should just go ahead and order it because the longer I wait, the
Yeah.
longer, it's going
Order
to
it.
take to get it.
Look, Jay, order it now
Right.
because it's not going to get there till November, I think you said, right? So sometime in November
November
is ship
4th.
time. If you
Yep.
order it today and go find one in the store tomorrow, you just cancel the online order.
Yeah. I guess
By the time
they
you
would just
find one
cancel
in
it.
store, the other one could have been here. Come
Yeah.
on, man.
I,
Pro
I
tip.
think
You've given this pro tip before.
I completely forgot about that. I could just cancel the order and just keep checking the stores for inventory. But I noticed, at least with the stores here in Houston, the inventory is not right all the time because even that day, it said they didn't have any in stock. And he said, well, we have the few terabyte models in stock, even though I wasn't looking for
Right.
that one and the Pro. So I think I just want to keep
Just
checking.
order. Look, it can't hurt as long as you cancel before it ships. You're good to
Right,
go. And if it's not saying till like November 6th or something like that, you have at least 2 weeks before you have to cancel.
right, right.
Place the online order. Just telling you.
So I'm not gonna make the mistake my wife made, though. I do have my screen protector and a really cool case that Greg sent me. It's just a MagSafe case, so it's just protecting that back glass. It has the MagSafe magnet in it, so it still will connect to my dock and in the truck and everything and charge just fine. I have those in my cart. I'm going to hit order on them this morning. And yeah, yeah. So, and trust me, I know folks that are listening that know me personally, they're going to be like, oh, there's Jay being cheap. I'm not being cheap. I'm not being cheap. I'm not paying nowhere near the full cost of the phone, right? My trade in is $500, so it's like 700 out of pocket for this one. And I'm not even paying that out of pocket. So I'm not
Right.
being frugal. I'm not being cheap this time. I'm
Just
being impatient.
place the online order, Jay, and then keep looking in store. All right.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that.
There's gonna be another phone in your family though at some point too, right? Because didn't somebody decide to accidentally, if you're watching the video, you can see my air quotes,
Right.
leave their phone on a beach in Mexico?
Right. No, no. He had it in his pocket when we were in Honduras, and
Yeah.
we were swimming for maybe about 10 minutes, and he said, "Oh, my phone," and I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it, because it's water resistant, like up to 3 feet." And we were just kind of wading in the water, but his screen is smashed up. It's
Oh
smashed to
no.
pieces. And yep, it does have water damage. It won't boot. It keeps restarting over and over again. So even though it's water resistant, it got phone and it got water inside the
Yeah.
phone from the cracked glass. So um, he's paying out of pocket. I think the problem is, and we had a long conversation about it at dinner the other night. Um, and of course, mom is in his corner, like, "Oh, just find one. Can we just find one on OfferUp? Can we just find a used one or something like that?" I'm like, "Remember my phone? I made that mistake. That was the last time I made that mistake." Which I hadn't told that story on the show, But I'm like, no, if we're gonna get one, we're gonna buy a refurb. We're gonna buy one from a cell phone shop or something like that. So no more cheap phones. And the problem is, and I know we got to get to Greg's hardware and stuff, but the problem is these are worth zero to him, right? I put my phone in my pocket. I know I'm putting, 1,200-1,300 bucks in my pocket, and I take it out before I sit down so I don't sit on it. Whenever I'm doing something that's gonna be, uh, I'm conscious of how much the phone is worth, right? So I make a conscious effort to take care of it.
Right.
Whereas to him, it's zero. He left $0 in his pocket on the beach. The screen is smashed up because he was at the skate park skateboarding, and he left $0 in his pocket, and he fell and smashed
Right.
the phone into pieces. The last two phones that we've given him, he smashed those up because they're worth zero to him. So I'm adamant now that this phone, he's going to pay at least 75% of this cost. That way, when he puts it in his pocket, he's not putting $0 in his pocket. He's going to put $300 or $400 in his pocket, and
Right.
maybe that'll motivate him to take better care of this. And
Yep.
that's my stance on it. Again, mom is pushing to match how much he spends to match. No, he's going to pay the majority of this phone. I know he's 14 now. His birthday was on the cruise ship. 14-year-old, he makes his own money. He has he has money in his account because he works for the company. He worked this past weekend, and he's going to work every weekend until he reaches enough to pay for that phone. And I'm sticking to that.
100% in support of that.
Thank you,
100%.
thank you. I know if
Yeah.
anybody gets it, it's Greg. So I know some
Yeah.
people listening like, oh, he's 14 years old. Buy the baby a phone. Nope,
No.
not doing it.
No. No, I'm going to buy stuff for my grandkids at the moment
Right.
because they don't understand the concept of any of that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they're not
Yeah.
in a position, but there's going to be this transition into teenage time when they're going to have to put their birthday money towards it, or it's
Yep.
part of their birthday, all of those kinds of things. So,
Yep.
uh, so, and here's the difference. And so my family ended up with 5 iPhone 16 Pros. All of
Yeah.
them ended up being
All
16 Pros.
pros. I
All
thought some
pros.
got to 16. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
All pros.
All ended up being pros. And here's the thing. I just said, yes, I agree that they should pay for their own. And I ended up helping everybody get into, one of them's mine. One of them's my wife. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm paying for those for sure. But for the 3 kids that ended up with them, they were all on 12s,
Yeah.
Series 12 devices. All of them got traded, full trade-in value for the device, right? So it's not like they just are being careless with them or any of that kind of stuff. And they're holding
Yeah.
on to them for
Yeah.
that
For the
long,
next few years. Yeah.
right? And so that was actually what we ended up doing. Other than there's a color difference, everybody ended up with 16 Pro 256. Dustin got the Desert Titanium.
Okay.
My wife, daughter, and Wyatt got white, I think, and I got the natural.
Okay.
So those were the only differences. Again, all 256 because everybody was either borderline or I knew what was going to happen. Again, we could have gone with the 16s, but when I consider that they have held on to them since Series 12, so 4
Right.
years, right? 4 generations of phone, that extra couple $100, which is all the difference really would have ended up being, makes sense to invest in the best they can get right now if they're going to hold on to them for that long.
Right.
And they do. So,
Right. I would have done the same if I was in your case with
yeah.
the kids, despite how careless my son is being. If he would have taken care of it for that long,
Right.
I would have did the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. So, and they'll hold on to him because they were also told this is the last time dad's buying phone, right?
Right.
So, and I made them all give me the trade-in values back. I've already got all the trade-in value back, which is great. So, reasonable trade-in values. So, anyway, that's all the hardware. Surprisingly enough, I have not bought the Apple Watch Ultra 2, and we're going to talk about that here in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I have one other surprise piece of hardware. Nothing major. I bought a new wallet.
Okay.
So Jay and I, if you've listened to the show, we both have the same wallet, except for
Yep.
I punched a hole in mine, put a key ring on it, and I've got an AirTag on it.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of the bulk and having that extra thing flopping around, the AirTag flopping around.
Okay.
But I wanted that on there, so I bought off of Amazon. It's called Air Wallet. It's got a built-in AirTag chip, so it actually is made for iPhone approved. So it's built in. So the whole thing, it's one of those sort of metal with elastics where you slide the cards in between the pieces of metal, right? It's that kind of a wallet,
Okay.
and
What is it
so
called again? Let me see
it's
this thing.
called Air Wallet. Minimalist wallet with built-in AirTag chip. Let me see if I can send you the. Yeah, I'll do it this way. I just sent you the link.
Okay.
So again, I wanted it because I wanted something that was a little sleeker in my pocket and less bulky to manage that extra tag that's sticking off of it. So now it says it's Find My compatible, and it is, but it doesn't have all of the Find My features.
Okay. What is it
So
missing?
it's missing the precision find, right? Where
Okay.
you can hit the find and it'll tell you where it's close. But you can play a sound, you can see the last location where it was, which are the biggest things that I wanted for it. So yeah, it's just way more sleek than having that AirTag attached to it. So,
Okay.
and I just realized that the money clip is detachable, so that's going to have to come off because
Okay.
it does add a
Good.
little bit of extra bulk. But yeah, so that's the other piece of hardware. Um, we'll talk about cases a little later because I want to talk about the case you're talking about and the one that I am using. So
Okay. And watches. No. No one. No one else got a
no one
watch.
got nope, no watches
Okay.
yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
This
All
is
right, let
really
me.
cool. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a deal. I think I only paid like $23 for it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. All right, let me run through a couple of rumors. There's a rumor that Apple's going to be focusing on home devices for the next year. I mean, like releasing a whole bunch of devices so you can have a device everywhere and home devices with screens, which give me a HomePod with a screen, give me a pill-sized speaker HomePod, right, with a
Mm-hmm.
screen or any of these. I'm all in if they can fix the back end because we're going to talk about some back end stuff because it ain't pretty at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you remember, with last year,
Yep.
we spent a couple of months with the same issues.
Yep.
HomeKit, everything, syncing
Yep.
the calendar, syncing the notes app, everything was
Yep.
just a mess.
Yep. I thought at first it was because I was on the beta on the iPad, right? And it was the only
Hmm.
device and everything else was on the regular. But everything's on the same level of stuff now. And I'm still having issues. So not
Yeah.
thrilled about that. And then 18.1 is supposed to release on the 28th. So we're going to get all these new Apple Intelligence features, or a bunch of them anyway. And then
Yeah.
also supposed to get new Macs and a new iPad mini.
Okay.
Um, Supposed to be announced this month, shipping like the 1st of November. So, which would be just fine. And I do think probably I'm going to go with the new iPad mini, depending on what all they do with it. So,
Okay. Well, we need to go back and check the recordings. I believe you
it
said
said I
you're gonna,
wasn't.
yeah,
It said I
you weren't gonna
wasn't.
bother with it.
I know. I know. Yeah,
Well,
we're not going to go there. All right.
we'll see. We'll see because they hadn't announced it. We'll see what specs
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, new chip, more RAM. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I guess it'll just depend on how much I care about, but not much in what terms of screen improvement and stuff like that. So I guess we'll see, and it might depend on whether I buy the Apple Watch or not. So all right, let's jump in. I'm gonna hit. Let's hit each of the. So we'll do Mac, Watch, iPad, iPhone in that order. The Mac one I think is going to be super super simple, but the idea is we're going to hit some of the highlights and then some of the downsides, some of the negative things that we're seeing right now. For macOS Sequoia, I actually had to go back and look and see what all was included,
Hmm.
and the only Mac specific thing that I even knew about was the iPhone mirroring,
Right.
and I love it. That is so cool. To be able to just wherever my iPhone is, as long as it's within range, to be able to just connect and see my iPhone screen there,
Hmm.
and to be able to get the notifications from my iPhone because I
Yeah.
have some that aren't on my Mac, and so to be able to deal with all that kind of stuff is just great. Like Okta, for example, it's on my phone, so if I need to do single sign in or two factor sign in on Okta, I can do it all from that mirrored environment, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then apparently they're supposed to be enabling drag and drop file swap between the two,
Okay.
which would be
I can see
super
that
cool as
being,
well. Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be really useful. I remember
Yep.
this feature, and I remember complaining that it wasn't on iPad OS,
Yep.
right? Even though iPad OS and iOS are still kind of the same, it still would have been good to have that functionality in just like a slide over, right? You slide over and boom, that's your iPhone screen and
Right.
everything. And who knows, it may come in the future, but yeah,
Yeah.
this was a really cool one.
Yep. But everything else is just shared stuff, like the messaging, and I know there are some Safari specific things and some windowing specific things, but none of it I
Hmm.
cared about. So everything else is just kind of the shared stuff. So that's really it for macOS Sequoia.
Yeah,
Let's talk about my baby, the Apple Watch. Here's
yeah.
here's my problem right now is I've gone back and forth with Jay on this. I want the watch to fit seamlessly and flawlessly
Yeah.
into my life like it used to. When I first got the Ultra, it absolutely did that, right? I never had to worry
Hmm.
about charging it. It was always in sync. I didn't have communication issues or connection issues. It was flawless and seamless. I don't have that now.
Nope.
And
Apple broke my watch.
yeah, I mean it's it's uh it's not cool. I know this is not
Yeah.
a big a deal, kind of like you were talking about losing your banner, right? This isn't the end of the world. This is a
Right.
first world problem. But for my favorite Apple device to be the one causing me the most frustration, more so than my Mac, even, that's a
Yeah.
big deal. And I'm more willing to deal with flaws on my iPad or flaws on the phone because I kind of expect some of that kind of stuff. But my watch, I
Yeah.
expect to be flawless. So here's some of the things that I've seen. I'll mention these and then you can chime in because I know you've seen some of these too. I had two watches connected. When I got everything done and all the upgrades done, I had major issues with syncing.
Hmm.
Right? They weren't staying in sync. I couldn't get podcasts to move over. I couldn't get music to move over. Major issues to the point where I'm on a brand new build on both watches. I've restarted them multiple times. I've had to take apps off, put apps back on. Now there are still some lingering issues, and I'm
Hmm.
having to reboot my watch maybe once a week, which is really unusual, right? And
Right.
so still something on that back end that's causing some issues. And my guess is that that is one of the reasons why we're still seeing some lingering battery issues. Now, mine's improved
Hmm.
since at first, but at first it was just horrible. And so was yours, right? And your wife has
Yeah.
had poor battery experience on the Series 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And hers is brand new, fresh out of the box. And if I was on my original watch still, I wouldn't make such a big deal about it because, over 2 years of wear and tear on the battery, it would be no big deal. Remember, this one's just a few months old,
Right.
and the battery life is horrible on it. Apple really broke my watch, and I'm like you, I'm upset about it. Like
Yeah.
this thing, I've never had to charge it so much. It's always dead when I need it, right? I can wear it all day and only glance at it a few times, but when I need to do something on it, it's already dead. And yeah, never had to charge it so much. I would get notifications when I have my phone and of course, I'm wearing my watch. I'll see the notification on the phone, and maybe 30 minutes later, I'm getting the same notification on my watch that the message came in, or the calendar event, or whatever. So huge sync issues. And yeah, I'm frustrated with it.
Yeah. I mean, I am always doing a reminder, holding down the watch crown or raising the watch and invoking the
Hmm.
assistant and setting reminders. That's one of the things I do a ton on my watch. And when I'm out on rides or whatever the case may be, I'm also sending myself notes. So
Right.
prior to the iOS 18 upgrade, I was having all kinds of issues with dictation not working and stuff like that. That seems to have gotten better. Haven't had as many issues with that. But I am having this issue where I'll ask it to create a reminder and then it'll say, "Can you say that again?" Or "I'm
Right.
having problems, try again in a minute." And so then I do it again and again and again and again. So maybe on the fifth time it works. And then when that time for the reminder hits, I get 5 reminders.
Yeah.
So in the back end, it's actually creating the reminder, but it's not
Right.
passing back the answer that says, got it, you're good to go. It's saying it's acting like it can't. So I've had to stop doing it, but then did it really create the reminder? So then I'm having to go into reminders and check, and I have to check on the watch because it takes it a while still to get synced over to my other devices. So it's super,
Yeah.
super frustrating. And I'm going to give it one more release, but if 18.1 doesn't solve some of these problems, I don't know. I don't know if it's hardware or software or
Yeah.
what, but the the other problem that we talked about battery life being poor, but it was taking forever to charge at one point too. And you had mentioned that it took all day to charge one
Yeah.
time when you were trying to charge it. But I had this experience when I was trying to sync some stuff over that my watch with no band attached to it was sitting on the charger, and I went to sync some music across, and it said it'll continue syncing when your watch cools down. Like, what are you
Wow.
talking
I've
about?
I've never seen that. That's crazy.
And so then I looked, and when I looked at the charging history and the battery stuff on the watch, it had also paused the charging because it said it was too warm, and it was
Hmm.
not warm. I mean,
Yeah.
you can tell when they get too warm to charge like that. So I think this one's mostly been resolved. I haven't seen it since the 18.01 release,
Hmm.
but it seems like there was either a thermal setting in there somewhere that was set wrong, or it was reading things wrong, because it would just stop, which is probably why your watch took forever to charge, is it kept hitting this.
Yeah.
So I pulled out a little fan and blew the fan on it so that the watch was like cold, right?
Yeah.
And then it was fine.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're still having some of those issues, you may want to try cooling it down. But it seems like maybe 18.0.1 has solved the issue. I hope so, because it's just. I mean, I've had my app. I'm on third year of use, right? Starting on year 3 of use of my Ultra,
Yeah.
and my battery life or my battery health is at 87%. So if you figure before it was supposed to get 24 hours or whatever it was of battery life, right? I've
Yeah.
lost over 10%. So I've lost almost 3 of those hours of battery life. So that's noticeable, right? And I get it.
It is.
It's a 2+ year old watch with a very, very small battery. Yes, it's going to be noticeable. So that part I don't think they're going to be able to fix with software, right? I mean, that's the only way you're going
Yeah.
to solve that problem is either swap the battery, which they actually don't do. They just swap your watch, which,
Hmm.
okay, fine. But um,
They don't do it in store either.
no. So, and I had canceled because I assumed I was getting a new watch. I had canceled my Apple Care Plus on this. Otherwise, I would have taken
Right.
advantage of that, right? But the thermal issue, the charging speed, all that kind of stuff, and this back end, for whatever reason, it's thinking that it didn't create a reminder, right? All of that stuff in theory can be fixed with
Hmm.
software. So, but I'm losing my patience. I mean, I wanted the Ultra 2 to, not the Ultra 2, but I wanted the black version to start with. I'm really losing my patience with this, which is why Jason got a big long text for me that said, "Here are all my watch scenarios, and this is the one that I think I should go with." And he's just shaking his head, but going, "If you're going to do it, yeah, I agree with that one, but you probably shouldn't
Yeah.
do it."
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't. I. You're right. It's 3 years old. Um, but this is definitely a software issue, right? Apple can at least 18.1. Hopefully things will go back to normal. Which, like you said, you'll still be down maybe 3 hours because of the age of the watch, but it everything else should be fixed. Hopefully,
Or,
hopefully we'll
or
see.
is it going to get worse because you're going to have
Right?
Apple
Yeah.
Intelligence in the back end, which takes more juice to be able to do some of this I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see.
Yeah. We'll
There are
see.
some
Remember,
good things. Go ahead.
well, I was gonna say. Remember, I got on the ship,
Yeah.
updated to 18. Well, not 18 to the Watch OS, and then got on the ship. There was no updating for me. It
Yeah.
was terrible that first day. What I ended up having to do was turning off Bluetooth, turning off Wi-Fi. There was no communication with the phone, and that seemed to get me through most of the day. So I think at least for me, the battery drain is coming in with that communication with the phone. Oh,
Yeah.
over and over, something's getting hung up. And I tried killing everything, killing all of the apps, restarting both the phone and both
Yeah.
the watch, and yeah. But hopefully that'll be resolved. And then if it doesn't, then we'll go the route like you said. You'll get the Series 2. Keep your I mean your Ultra. Buy the Ultra 2. Keep your Ultra 1
Yeah.
for your music and podcasts and everything.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, I have two watches on purpose because when I swim, which now that the pool's back open, I'm hoping to get back into multiple times a week, I've
Mm-hmm.
got one that clips to the band that Bluetooth to the headphones so I can listen to music, and then I want the other one to record the workout. And the watch I'm using right now for the band to just listen to music is a Series 7, whose battery now says battery needs service. So it's not
Right.
good.
Right.
So yeah. But the scenarios I went through of keeping the trading in the 7 for the Ultra 2 and keeping the Ultra 1, or trading in both and getting an Ultra 2 and then like an SE or something like that. There was only a $10 difference between those two scenarios, and so it didn't make sense to go downgrade to the SE. So anyway, we'll see, but we can talk about it later. But with all that stuff aside, the reason I want this thing to work so well is there's some really cool stuff. So there are two new faces that I like. There's a couple more, but the two new faces that I like, the reflection and the new photos face, they've really done a good job with both of these. The reflection face is kind of an analog face that looks like it's got a like a fan around it, and you choose
Mm-hmm.
your color, and as you rotate your wrist, it plays it's like the shadow from the sun is playing off the metal as it goes around it. So it's really cool. It's dynamic as your wrist moves. Just choose a color that matches whatever you're wearing, that kind of thing. So super, super cool with that. And you can put complications on it, so that's good.
Yeah.
The new photos face is phenomenal. I mean, just
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. And you can choose city, natures, and people. And if you choose people, you can choose who out of your photos things. My photo library doesn't do a great job of recognizing people for whatever reason. So I've actually only got nature rotating on mine right now. So it's just picking nature photos that I've taken. And Jay knows that when I take pictures, a lot of them are nature pictures. And so
Yeah.
it's rotating through some of this stuff. But I had heard somebody mention that it's really cool because the time on it is kind of dynamic where it places it. And so
Okay.
I had one, and when the watch face, when my wrist was down versus when I brought it up, the time would go behind or peek out from behind the mountain, just the very bottom edge of the time,
Right.
which was so cool, right?
That is cool.
And you can put two complications on it. I've got just the temperature because I live in an area where I have to know when I have to close up the trailer and really turn on the AC. And
Yeah.
then it's just the messages icon, and it's so itty bitty bitty teeny, but definitely is down there so you can see if you have a message or not. But those two photo faces are really, really cool. So I've got that, the photo and the reflection, but I've got the photos is the one I actually find myself using more than anything else right now.
Right. Right. So we talked about this the photo one when we were setting up Wendy's watch, and mine has the dynamic one, right? It looks awesome. Hers, I think, rather than using the new feature, I think what's going on is she's just using an old photo, right? The same photo
Right.
she had on her older version. And they were just a generic. So she's looking at mine like, wait, my watch is brand new. Why doesn't it do that? And I'm like, no, you're using an old photo, the same watch face that you had. So that watch face is set. It's always going to look
Yeah.
like that. Now, if you use the new format with that same picture, it'll give you that. So we
Yep.
have yet to go through and actually create new faces for her. But yeah, if you have that
Yeah.
old, if you use photos before, just a photo of the of on the watch face, it's stuck like that. It's going to be
Yep.
set. They didn't delete
Yep.
your photos, so you actually have to recreate it with this new software that they
Yeah.
created. So if you're wondering why your watch face, they look old and generic, that's the reason why. So just
Yep.
create a new one.
Well, while you're helping her, the other thing you may want to help her do is to change her tones. So you can now go in and you can change the ringtones on the watch. So you can have one for text, one for mails, one for outgoing mails, one for, there's like 5 or 6 different categories. And so I've gone in and I changed them all. So instead of every single notification that comes in on my watch sounding exactly the same, now
Yeah.
I can actually tell that it's a text message or if it's my security camera or something else. So huge improvement.
I
Huge
forgot
improvement.
about that. Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about that. We're gonna do that after we record today.
Yep. Now, smart stacks and widgets, the smart stack did get smarter, but what I found is that it was recommending widgets into that smart stack. This is when you swipe up from the bottom on your watch
Hmm.
face, right? It was recommending stuff in there that I didn't like. So you kind of have to go in and turn off by app which ones you don't want. If you don't want certain apps to be recommending widgets in there, then you got to go turn them off. But I've got it pretty dialed in now to what I want. So yeah, I mean it's better than it was, but it's not as smart as Apple thinks it is. So
Yeah.
just go in and turn it off the ones you don't want. There's two health features that I'm absolutely loving. One is the new vitals, right, where it looks at your respiration, your blood oxygen. If you don't have the 10, the 9, or the Ultra 2, right? And that's a
Right.
downside if I go to the Ultra 2 is I'll lose this. But your heart rate, your sleep time, and I can't remember what the other one is. But anyway, um, there's 5 items that it does. I better look it up because now I'm going to be frustrated that I can't remember what it is. But there's
Hmm.
5 items that it looks at overnight and it measures those things, and that it'll tell you if they were all in range or not. So it's heart rate, uh, respiratory rate, temperature, blood
Hmm.
oxygen, and your how much time you slept. And then it's going to tell you if this previous night, if everything was within your typical range, or if you had any outliers, low or high, and it'll tell you which one it is. I've actually put a widget for it on my phone because I found myself looking it up every single morning to see how it was. So, if you had something that was out of range, you might be starting to come down with something, or you might need a
Right.
recovery day, right? I mean, there's all these different things that it'll mean. So, loving that.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other one is the new training effort. So it's workout effort is what I'm using it for right now. So basically, if you go in and you turn on the reminder that says remind me after every workout to set the level of effort, then you have an opportunity to go in and adjust. So what's happening is you're doing a workout and then Apple is using an algorithm or whatever it is to determine how hard that workout was. Was it easy, moderate, hard, extremely
Yeah.
hard? And there's a couple in each of those categories, a couple of adjustments you can make. So I turned on the reminder, so I get done with the workout, it stops, and I'll look down on my watch and it's got up the little grid and says, this is what we think, tell us what you think. And so it's going in, and that way I can rate my workouts and see, am I improving? Am I not improving? So
Yeah. Or
I really
slacking.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Did I
is
slack off
really
on that
cool.
workout or not? Right. If I do the same 20-mile bike ride that last time I rated as hard and this time they said it was super easy, either I got in really good shape really fast, or if I look at the times, more than likely I took twice as long to
Right.
do it right. Or I turned up the assist on the bike. One of
Yeah.
those. So
Yeah.
so look, here's the thing. My watch, the Apple Watch is still my favorite gadget. Period. End of story. It's the
Hmm.
one that should fit the most seamlessly into my life. Right? I mean, other than the camera on the 16, which we'll talk about, I would still give up having the latest and greatest phone to always have the latest and greatest
Yeah.
Apple Watch, right? I think that's where I'm at on this stuff. But all of these features are great and awesome, but I'm just, I shouldn't, but I have anxiety over my watch right now, and that is not good. And I have decided that here comes the grandpa statement. I've decided that I'm too old to deal with things that don't bring me joy if I don't have to. Right? I
Right.
mean, there's
Right.
always things that you have to do in life that aren't going to be pleasant and bring you joy. If it's not bringing me joy, I don't know that I want it to be part
Yeah.
of my life. And so that's why I've been going back and forth. And who knows, I might go out this week, right? And end up swapping. So I just thought of something too. Since I really like having the blood oxygen at night, it's not as big of a deal during the day. I could actually sleep with the Ultra One and just
Right.
use the Ultra 2 during the day, right? But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. trying to
Yeah.
find more
Yeah.
reasons to go hit Best Buy today. Um, so
Yeah.
I,
I'm with
I
you on that though. If it's not adding value to your life, if it's only adding frustration, then why deal with it? Why
yeah.
deal with it at this point, you
And
know?
some people have to, right? And I'm not trying to brag and say I could just go out and buy a brand new $700 watch, right? That's not the point
Yeah.
of all of this kind of stuff, but all of us decide how we use our resources, our time, our money, all of those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's that big of a deal to you and it's causing you anxiety, figure out how to do something about it. So that's kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at. I want to wait until October 28th to see if the software solves these issues. I kind of don't think they're going to, because I was having some of these issues prior, and then 18 and 18.0.1, right? None of it fixed it. And again, the battery just, it's less. So anyway, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
the watch is still amazing. Watch OS 11 was a good jump forward. They just need to fix all this back end stuff. All
So we
right.
talk about the watch being your favorite product. Let's talk about my favorite product, which is the iPad. Didn't get any issues. Didn't get any maybe I had some battery degradation and I just didn't notice because the amount I used it during the week when I was on the cruise. But yeah, didn't get any big issues. I'm going to tell you the biggest issue I had was on the first ship, the newest ship. IT caught on. I don't know if caught on is the word. They wised up and they disabled the HDMI ports on all of the new televisions. So so we put a bunch of movies and TV shows and things that we want to watch on the ship outside of the movies and stuff that they have free for you. And I have a USB-C to HDMI adapter that we take with us on trips, and we plug it into the TV and we watch movies. Well, it was disabled on the on the newer TVs. On the second ship, on the older ship, of course, it was wide open. We could use that. Um, Tiny TV though. I mean, it was almost more convenient to watch it directly on the iPad than on the tiny TV. But on the big TVs that they have, which were 32 inches, I believe, or probably bigger, 42 maybe. They disabled all of the ports. So that was the only technical issue I had with my iPad on the on the cruise. But I don't know. What about your iPad, Greg? Did you see any issues?
Nope. Nope. Not
Yeah,
really. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
luckily we were on the betas, because what happened is day one, some of the new M4 iPad Pros got bricked when they were
Yep, I
updating,
remember that.
and they pulled the update. So you couldn't, if you didn't update right at the beginning and you weren't on the beta, you were not getting 18.0 on your M4 iPad Pro. And
Yep,
they never re-released 18.0.
yep. We went
So
right to the next one.
18.0.1. When
Yep,
everybody else got 18.0.1, then you could get your M4 iPad Pro onto the latest and greatest. So whatever that was a big deal. And boy, am I glad I didn't have that problem. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. We missed that one.
Let's talk about the 16 and iOS 18.0.1, whatever. So, one question I have for you. So, all of the phones got the action button, and the action button's new to Wendy. It'll be new to you when you get it. What is Wendy using the action button, not the camera control, but the action button for? What is she using it to do?
So we were in the I never mentioned it to her. She watches the keynotes and stuff with me, but she kind of tunes it out and does other things. So I like watching her find new things on her own. And she found that action button and she was like, "Look what I could do." As she was doing the oh, you know what? This was a camera button where you can slide your finger and zoom
Yeah,
in and out. She was like, "Look at this. This is so cool." I'm like, "Yep, I know."
yeah.
It
Well,
is cool. I don't have it yet, but
let's
um
hold off on camera control. So, has she set
yeah.
that action button on the other side to anything besides the default, which I think is to mute the phone?
Yeah, it's just to mute. And she showed me that she was, "Oh, it's so cool. You can just hold it now and you can mute and unmute the phone," because she had it on silence. And I was like,
Right.
"You know that? Did you know it was on?" She was like, "No, no, no, but I know you can press and hold a button." So
Yep.
she hadn't said it for anything else yet, but
All right.
she did find a button.
Well, I still had mine going camera until the camera control came in. So now I've
Right.
reset mine. My first press on it is day one to go into my journal app.
Okay.
And then my second press is a shortcut. So it's all based on a shortcut, actually. But my second press is pulling up a list of apps to launch. So
Okay.
this was something that Federico Viticci and them all created, right? So on the second click, because you're only supposed to be able to click it once, but now you can click it with this shortcut. You can click it twice. So
Okay. And
yeah,
what
that's
what
what I've
apps
got
do you
there.
just have like a handful of apps, or does it give you like 3 or 4 apps, or?
No, I specified which ones. So I think it's like I've got like 5 or 6. One of
Okay.
them's like one of my study apps and a couple of other things. I rarely use that second
Yeah.
press. Um, but yeah, it's usually that first one. But it's nice. I can get straight into my journal from there.
Yeah.
So let's talk battery life. So battery life, at least at the beginning, I was not seeing. It was supposed to have been 25 hours of battery life on the 16
Mm-hmm.
Pro, 25, 27, I don't know, something like that. No, I was not seeing 25 or 27 hours of battery life. I think it's better now, but I don't think it's still
Yeah.
up there. And remember, I traded in the Pro Max, but my battery health was down far enough that in theory my my 15 Pro Max and the new 16 Pro with the battery boost should have been about equal. But they weren't. For sure
Yeah.
they weren't. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
What
I
has your
think it's the
wife's
same.
experience been?
So she's upgrading from that old 13, which the battery the health on it was down in the 80s, if not
Mm-hmm.
even lower. So she's seeing an improvement even with the degradation from iOS 18. So it's hard for her to pinpoint. She's not getting a full day out of it, and she's like, "I thought the battery was going to be better." I'm like, "Yeah, same thing with the watch. There's some software issues right now, but it is better." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind
So
of hard to tell right now.
I just pulled it up. So it's supposed to get 27 hours of video playback on the 16 Pro. The 15 Pro Max at full capacity would have been 29, right? And I was down to 90% or something like that. So I had lost that 2+
Right.
hours, right? So in theory, they should have been equal, but yeah, it's gotten better over time. So, and we know that happens, right? That the phone needs to index and there's a bunch of stuff getting
Yeah.
cleaned up in the background, but it's still not there. I mean, I am, that would be the one reason I would regret not having gotten the Pro Max is the battery
Yeah.
life, which is why I absolutely know I can't ever go back from the Ultra. Even though the Series 10 is super, super cool, I'll
I
just never be
know.
able to go back. And that's
It,
what's causing me the anxiety on my watch, right?
right.
Is that I have to charge it. So I'm always thinking about, okay, I'm getting in the shower. Do I charge it now? Yes. I'm getting up in the morning and getting ready. Should I throw it on the charger for a few minutes? Yes. I mean, that's not a huge problem to have, but I used to not have to do that. So with the phone, I was actually looking up wireless chargers to just set one out in the main part of the trailer, just so I could drop it on there on a
Yeah.
regular basis to be able to do it. But it's gotten better, so I don't think I need to do that. But it's not 27 hours. So, and my wife's like Wendy. She went from the 13 mini to the
Right.
16 Pro. So she's like, I can get through a whole day doing whatever I want. And I'm like, yep,
Yeah. It'll get better. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So any improvement to the battery would be better, even though it's not,
right, right,
the maximum they should be getting. So
yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not missing the bigger size of the Max. I'm
I
not.
thought you would.
So,
I
no,
thought you would.
I'm not. And I do find myself wanting it in the case more because it just feels too fragile. But I had that same problem with the Pro Max, right? Is it still felt kind of fragile to me because these things are just so thin, right? It's not how tall they are, it's how thin they are. So I'm hoping we'll talk about cases here in a minute, but I'm hoping with one of these cases I'm getting that'll that'll help with it. I think it will. So
Yeah.
one of the things, it's not really iPhone related, but the AirPods Pro, the head shake where you can say yes or no and you can answer a call or decline one, but it also handles a couple of the other notifications. Like when I go to send a message on my watch,
Mm-hmm.
if my AirPods are connected to it, I can go up and down and it'll send automatically rather than waiting to send. It does that little circle around the arrow thing.
Right.
So, which has been pretty cool. It's kind of finicky. I haven't figured it out yet, but it definitely is cool. And the first time it happened, it was totally accident. I was on my bike and something came in, and I was trying to do something because I wear a gaiter when I ride, and I was
Hmm.
trying to do something, and all of a sudden I hear that thunk thunk that your AirPods make when you like adjust the volume and stuff. So I
Yeah.
could hear that thunk thunk, and like, what's going on? Thunk thunk, and it was me shaking my head.
While you were riding
Well, I
over
was
the
riding,
landscape.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that'll get better. Um,
I
so
hope so. Sort of like the pinch gesture,
yeah,
which we didn't get to Ultra 2. We skipped that. Um, but the pinch gesture, when it first released, people were like, oh, it's not really accurate. It doesn't really work. And then a few months later, we heard, okay, they fixed it. Now it's
yeah.
working better. It's
They've actually done something because on my Ultra One, I get the double tap to dismiss. So I've got the assistive
right.
touch, the assistive gestures features turned on my Ultra. That's popping up more often. In fact, it was popping up every time I lifted my wrist, and I had to actually go in. So here's a pro tip: if you're seeing that, it shouldn't be doing that unless there's something on the screen for you to dismiss. Mine was doing it on the watch face. If you do that, you just need to go into the settings on the watch, go into accessibility, turn off the assistive gesture, and turn it back on. And then it disappeared.
Okay.
It doesn't do it anymore. So, again, something weird in the back end
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing you can do now on your phone is you can customize the two icons at the bottom that used to be the flashlight and the camera. So now you can change those. And so another thing you may want to point out to Wendy is that she could do something down there. So I'm still using the flashlight on one because that's the best way for me to get to the flashlight. The flashlight right now, by the way, you can actually adjust to be a beam or a spray of light. So you can make
Okay.
it wider and more narrow. But then I've actually put weather on the other one instead of the camera because I don't need the camera one anymore because I have a dedicated hardware button to it. So
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
and then messages features, those are pretty cool. Have you been using any of those? My wife, I showed her how to do the text effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, she likes to use those.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are pretty cool. So and the chats with my brothers and stuff, we've been using a lot of those. So the schedule one, I hadn't played around with it since the beta. On the not the beta, it was the Golden Master that they released when we
Right.
we downloaded it that week before or whatever. And I hadn't played with it since then, but it seemed to work fine then.
Yep. I'm using the tapbacks too, and then the schedule feature I found at least with my adult kids who never seem to respond to messages. If I schedule them to go at times where I think they're more likely to look at it, I get a 30% chance they'll respond to me instead of a 10% chance. So,
Okay,
and
that
here's the
makes
funny
sense.
thing. So, I drove to Nephi to give Wyatt his phone, right?
Yeah, I
Because
thought he
I had
wrote
it
with
delivered.
you.
Huh?
I thought he wrote with you.
No, no, no. We were going to meet in the middle, but I drove up to where he was because he had to work. So I
Okay.
drove up and I dropped his phone off, and 2 days later, it's still not set up. 3 days later, it's still not set up. 4 days later, it's still not set up. Um, Dustin actually got his phone fraud locked out trying to set his up, and I figured out why. He bought the Verizon version of the phone, so when he went through the setup
Oh,
process, it was a whole thing, and there was supposed to be a $35 upgrade fee, all this kind of stuff, and and it got locked out. I had to call Verizon and get his line restored and all that kind of stuff. The rest of us,
yeah,
we all bought unlocked phones, and was no problem. But anyway, but Wyatt was smart. He was worried about damaging it, so he waited until his case and his screen protector showed up and then set up the phone and started using it. So, yeah. So that's
yeah,
how he handled that. But anyway, it was funny because then I noticed he got it set up and I sent him a message and didn't get a response and didn't get a response. And it was something I needed a response on. I said, "Look, I bought you a new phone. Respond to my messages." So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's weird. I know this is before we go into the next section. It's weird how companies nickel and dime you, and maybe this is the frugal side of me. This is cheap Jay talking, but already. So White got the Verizon version, right? And you said it was an extra
Dustin did.
$30. Dustin
Dustin
got
did.
the
Yeah.
so it was an extra $30 for the activation or the upgrade fee or whatever. You guys got the unlocked version. Apple charges an extra $30, right? I
They were the
believe it's
same price.
$30.
They used to be
Were they the
more
same price?
expensive. They're the same price.
So for Wendy's unlocked phone, it was like $30 more to Apple.
Really?
Well, Yeah, I don't know why the price difference was, but again, it's that whole nickel and diamond thing. So eSIMs, um, well, with my company, it's just it's just free. You just do the but I have a prepaid one. Wendy's, it was an extra $25 just to switch to eSIM. I don't know. They just they're playing around with who gets that extra 30 or 40, that
Yeah.
25, $30. Apple keeps it if you get an unlocked one. For in our situation, it was. If you don't get it, if you just upgrade on the carrier, you pay the regular price. But then
Oh, you're kidding me, right?
they have the transfer or the extra $25 to transfer the yeah. And again, this
No,
is just
sorry.
cheap Jay talk.
I'm going in right now to we're going to have to do a breaking news thing here in just a second, which is going to make our show a little bit longer. Okay, so iPhone 16 Pro. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
she got the 16, right?
Yeah, she
Well,
got a
let me. I'll
16
I'll look at the 16 Pro and see if there's a price difference between Verizon, AT&T.
and the unlocked version.
Yeah, doesn't matter what storage I pick. No trade in. Buy. No, they're all the same price, so I don't know what was going on
Okay.
there.
So we bought it in the store. So maybe we should have just bought it online and picked it
I don't
up.
know.
But yeah, check the 16. Maybe because
All
that
right,
one's a
let me
pro.
check the 16. 16 doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter the storage. No trade in. Buy. Yes, the 16 is more expensive, but the Pro is not.
Yeah, and I believe it's
So
like
30
30
bucks.
bucks.
Yep, it's 30
So
bucks.
you pay the $30 to get it unlocked to go to any carrier, and then the carrier charges you the $25 anyway. So they get the money out of you regardless.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Yeah.
it's like that. I don't know why the pro is different. Maybe because the pro is more expensive and they worked in that
Yeah.
value for the phone. But yeah, extra $30 to get it unlocked, and then you end up paying the carrier anyway just to
Yeah.
activate it.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
All
Only
right,
something that the frugal would notice.
I'm going to do some breaking news here in a second, but let's wrap up this iPhone section. Let's talk about camera control and camera.
Yeah,
So, before Jay tells you about these pictures I've been sending him, I
yeah.
actually watched Tyler Stallman did a video, his camera review on the phone, and then he also did what's on his phone. And between those two things and another article, he's a professional photographer and videographer, has a company that does all that kind of stuff. They shoot almost exclusively on iPhones. Um,
Hmm.
I set all my camera settings the way he told me to,
Yeah,
right? So, Jay, how are my pictures?
yeah. They look professional. These everything Greg sends me, they're all wallpaper. They're all wallpaper worthy pictures, right? These are not, you know, I'm just gonna snap a picture of this lizard running across the driveway or something, and you see it. Oh, that's a cool picture. It's not. No, everything Greg takes is like professional quality, and it's because of the camera. And I know we've been saying for years since what the the iPhone 10, right? They had that jump
Mm-hmm.
in the camera quality, and we all this is a DSLR camera in the iPhone, and we've been saying that for the 12 and the 13 and the 14. I think now that we've actually reached that point where
Yeah.
these cameras on the iPhone Pro are DSLR quality, professional. You don't have to go and buy two different cameras now. Buy an iPhone and buy all of the equipment, the gimbal and all of that around. Build your photo taking around the iPhone because it has reached that level now. Just crazy. And I look at it on the phone and it looks great, but looking at it on my iPad screen when you send those pictures, oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy looking at it on the screen. Everything is just amazing. It looks some of the pictures look a little warmer than I would like, and I know you can adjust that too. But no, really good, really good. I think those same settings are that you're using from Tyler's settings. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
working.
Well, and I'm not a professional photographer by any
No,
sense of the word, but I've got those settings dialed in. I do have a when I don't when I shoot normal pictures or live pictures, I'm using one of the recommended styles that he recommended that does warm it up just a little bit. But I'm also shooting in RAW Max all the time now. Almost everything I send Jason, I have to switch back to live because, like, if it's my grandkids or something, I want to catch the before and after moments. But
yeah,
on these pictures that I send of like a nature shot or something like that, I don't need that, right? I want all of the detail coming through. But one of the reasons that's possible now is they released a new file format for RAW Max, and this is the one that he is using as a professional photographer. He's
Mm-hmm.
shooting in this file format because it's a third the size of a regular RAW Max file.
Yeah.
So instead of these monstrosity file sizes, you've got them a lot shorter. So anyway,
Yeah. So
loving
it
it.
doesn't help. Yeah, it does help a lot. So guys, Greg stays in Utah, so he has a bunch of
Yeah,
beautiful scenery right outside of his door. Right, I have to travel a little bit to find beautiful spots here in Houston, but Greg can just wake up, walk outside of his door, and take some beautiful shots. So a lot of that is the scenery, and
yeah.
I believe I asked you the other night, like, is anyone ever outside, or are you timing the photos just right to where
I
there's
sp-
no one?
I spend a lot of time by myself over here, so it's very
Okay,
peaceful
okay.
where we live. So
Yeah,
anyway,
like there's no one ever outside. There's no one ever walking around. There's no cars or no 18 wheelers, hauling down
yeah,
the highway or anything like
nope.
that. So, okay.
Now
Yeah.
I've got the sun coming into my face, so I apologize for those of you that are seeing this on the video, but it's coming around the palm tree. But the camera control is good. I do like that I have a dedicated button to launch the camera.
Yeah.
Um, I am 50-50 whether I use it to snap the photo or whether I tap the screen, because something Jason Snell said is that it seems when you press the finger button, it moves the camera more than when you tap the screen.
Right.
So a little
Right.
bit on that. But the other stuff, it's really cool that you can switch menus and slide back and forth on Zoom and all that kind of stuff, but they've got to simplify this menu a little bit. So,
Mm.
and we'll talk about cases here next, but the one case that I bought that's actually a protective case that I use when I ride and stuff, it's got a pass through. So it's allowing the capacitive pass through on the button cover. So it's fine. It feels about the same as the normal one there, but I don't know. We'll see where that camera control goes. But as far as it being a button that you launch the camera and then you take the picture, I think it's great for that. And I actually sent a little thing to all of my kids and my wife and said, if you don't want all of that other fancy stuff, here's how you turn it off and can just make it a shutter button. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
All right,
They
let's
might
talk
try that.
cases. Then I got to do some breaking news because we're going to do something live here and Jason's going to laugh. So, I've got the case I have is called SUP case, SUP case, and
Okay.
it's a protective one. It's great. It's fine for my rides and stuff like that. I always need something for rides, and I do a lot of outdoor stuff. Right, I don't want to be going with nothing on my phone. I put a back screen protector on, and then remembered why I took it off last time, because that back glass is a little bit of matte texture to it, and the screen protector, it makes it look like there's all kinds of bubbles underneath it, even when you put it on right. So I peeled it off.
Yeah.
I'm using this particular case. So it does have the camera pass through, which was cool. But what I'm excited to get is what Jay was talking about earlier, which is a MagSafe leather back. So all
Yeah.
it is the back and snaps on. Now, there are 3 brands that I found so far that do this: Suti, Nomad, and then Atom Studios. And Atom Studios is the one that I purchased.
Yeah. It's
The
the
Sudi
best.
the Sudi case one looks okay, but it's got a plastic rim around it that Marco Arment said was not good. And then the Nomad one is Nomad. It's going to be high quality. But I got the Atom Studios one. Should be here on Thursday, so I'll report back next week. But I'm hoping that that's the kind that I just leave on my phone all the time, except for when I ride and stuff, and swap it out. And that'll give me stronger magnetic hold on the truck, right? On the MagSafe charger in the truck. So
Hmm.
that's what I've got coming for cases. Other than that, I've got a screen protector on the front, and for whatever reason, I have scratched this screen protector like there's no tomorrow. It's so
Wow.
weird. I usually don't have this problem, but it's pretty scratched. So
So I'm looking at the sub case. There's two different versions. There's like a military grade protection one with the front glass, and the back is really rugged. And then there's a seamless kind of smooth looking one with the I guess you can keep your screen protector. Which one did you get?
I got the one that you can keep your screen protector. So I got the one that's
Okay.
got it's the black and gray. So on the back, the magnet
Okay.
ring is half black, half gray. So
Okay. That one looks good. Looks
yeah,
really sleek too. And it has where you can touch the camera button. You can
yeah,
still slide your finger on that. It
yep,
has the
yeah.
capacitive touch.
So I like having that on just because if I don't have this on, the phone just honestly feels too small. Period. End of story. And I'm not talking about length. I'm just talking about width, which would be the same on the Pro Max for the most part, and the how thick it is. It just feels
Right.
like it's going to slide out of my hand. So what I'm hoping with this leather back is that I'll get the grippiness. I'll be able to set the phone down on the back without having to worry about scratching the cameras and stuff like that. So that's what I'm hoping I get out of this other one. So more to
Okay.
come next week. So
Yeah. Yeah. Looks
all
really
right.
good.
That was the end of the show until I went to the Jason, I went to the website to try and check those prices, right? Guess what is on the very front page of apple.com?
Well, let me check it out. What is it?
Go ahead and look.
Oh, this is breaking news. Okay, we're gonna go back and we're gonna listen. But if I remember, you were gonna skip this one,
I know.
and
So the iPad mini is available for
yep,
pre-order. So
and
what we're
available
going to
on
do
the
here,
23rd.
iPad, yeah. So I mean, like, yeah. So hold on, I
That's
gotta
pretty
go in
cool.
here. I gotta go in here and look up iPad Mini A17 Pro, which is the new one. So that's
Yeah,
A17 Pro chip, not the A18. But where's the iPad Mini 4, which is what I have? Okay. First of all,
Apple
they have
Pencil
colors.
compatible. Yeah,
They've got some colors. The screen is slightly large. Oh, I'm gonna end up buying this. Sorry, I'm gonna move over here a little bit and change my camera angle because
yeah. I know the sun is hitting you.
starting to hit me here. We were supposed to be done. Instead of the A8 chip, it's the A17 Pro chip. I do have a Mini 4, right? That's what I have. That's the latest Mini, right? I think so.
Yes.
Let's see. General about 82567 copy. Let's make sure that's what I have. So I want to compare these accurately because we may be placing a pre-order live on the show.
Right. I like that starlight color.
Oh, it's
That
the
is that
6th
is
gen, so I'm
nice.
definitely not on the right one. So let's see here. iPad Mini 6th generation. There we go. Okay, now we're comparing the right ones. Okay, so okay, screens are the same size. A15 versus A17 will support Apple Intelligence. The cameras are the same. USB-C, Touch ID, speakers, Wi-Fi 6E, not a big deal because it's the other one's got Wi-Fi 6. It does support my Apple Pencil Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Starts at 128 gigabytes, so I would need definitely at least that. If I went in and looked and saw what I have on there, I might still need the 256. Sizes are all the same. Let's see. Resolutions are all the same. Apple Pencil Hover, new chip. Battery life is supposed to be the same. Okay, no, we don't need to pre-order this one.
Yeah, just a speed bump
So
to
really,
get everybody on Apple Intelligence.
yep, speed bump. The chip is a couple up, but okay, fine. But it's not like I'm doing anything right that would do this. So okay,
Yeah,
so I don't need to dive in and pre-order this one. Okay, cool.
yeah,
But if you're interested in the iPad Mini, there you go. It's out. I'll listen to
yeah,
some stuff, I'm sure, over the next little while and figure out if I'm going to change my mind on that. So, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it starts out, let's see, let's go through as if I was buying one. Well, this may tell the tale if my trade-in's worth anything, right? That
yeah.
may.
Maybe they're doing something cool like with the iPhones. They want everybody to get on the Apple Intelligence, so they'll give you a more than they usually would
All
for
right.
your
So we'll
older.
look here. Let's see. Let's look at my iPad storage. So I currently have the 256 and I've used 160. I can get a bunch off, but let's just compare like to like. So 256, I did choose a Starlight. That looked pretty good.
Yeah,
Wi-Fi, no engraving, no Apple Pencil, no Smart Folio. Add a trade-in. Here we go. Apple. All right, let's get my serial number here.
does
About.
your iPad have a? It doesn't have a magnet connector for the Apple Pencil, right? Because it's
Yes,
not
it does.
supported. It does.
It
Okay.
does. It's not the Apple Pencil Pro it doesn't support, though, which the new one would.
Okay.
Yes, good shape. Yes, it's free of functional damage because it's been replaced.
Right.
Oh, $230 of trade-in, Jason.
That's not bad. That is
So
not bad.
the new one would cost $370 after trade-in.
So they want people on Apple
Apple
Intelligence.
Intelligence.
So they're giving us more than they would normally would on a regular release cycle for our older devices because they want everyone on these later devices. So at three, how much did you say? Three what?
$369.
Does that make it more tempting for you?
It's in my bag.
Yeah. I knew it.
Gotta be, right?
Yeah, yeah. I knew it. I knew it was coming. And A17, the A17 Pro chip, I mean, it's a pretty good chip. I think
Yeah.
let,
That trade-in
hey,
makes it hard.
let's before you hit checkout, before you hit buy, let's make sure that this A17 chip though, if they're not gonna leave anything off, right? There's not gonna be, and still with Apple, there may be
Well, but
surprises
it
next year.
shouldn't be because isn't that the chip that the 15 Pros had last year? Because this year they're
Yeah,
on the 18. So it's
but
got
are they
everything.
getting all of the Apple
Yeah.
Intelligence features?
Yeah.
They're getting everything on the 15.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
My understanding.
And again, we know that there could be surprises, right? Next year they'll test something out, and by February they're like, "Well, this is going to only be available on, the Pro Max and the iPad Pro, the M4 Pro, and you know what I mean." But barring any of that, everything is coming at this point.
Yeah, I think I'll be buying that. I still spend a ton of time on it. A ton of time on this. And for
Yeah,
$230 in trade-in value. So,
yeah, yeah.
all right.
That's really good. That's really good.
All right, folks. Well, the sun is about to blind me. You probably can't see my eyes. My glasses probably turned nice shades of dark gray.
Yeah,
I think that's it for today. So I think the message I would leave with everybody is I still love my watch. I just don't love it quite as much as I used to, and I want to love it as much as I always have. So thus the debate about whether I upgrade it and swap it out. And but definitely the or the WatchOS 11 is a huge upgrade. I love the stuff in it. The 16
yeah,
Pro I can't recommend strongly enough. If you are on 14 is borderline, but if you're on anything pre 14, you need to
yeah.
upgrade.
I
Right. And if
agree.
Apple Intelligence you care about, you need to be on a 15 Pro or later. Even with some of the quirky stuff, most of the battery issues are probably because there's back end processes that need to be more efficient and some of those kinds of things. That kind of stuff they're going to fix with
Yeah,
software. So I'm confident they will. I'm not sure they're going to fix all my watch issues with software because the battery issues are one thing, but I haven't heard people having some of the communication struggles that
yeah,
I've been having with mine. So that could be, a radio starting to go out or something like that, like your microphone did. So
yeah, yeah.
overall, I think everything was solid upgrades. If they could just get the back end stuff stabilized, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. Also, too, if you're a small business and you're a wedding photographer, even if you don't consider yourself a professional photographer, but you make content for your business, you make your TikToks and your Instagram videos and your stories and stuff. This could be a business expense because this camera definitely replaces the need for having other cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't talk about how awesome this camera is enough. So, like Rex said, if you're anything pre 14, and you have a business where you depend on your camera, again, small businesses, wedding photographers, nature photographers, whatever, content creators, the camera alone is
Yeah.
enough. And you still get pretty good trade in for your current device too,
Yeah.
if you're not
I mean, I'm
handing it down.
filming. I've shot this whole episode on my new 16 Pro.
Yeah,
Right? It's what I'm
yeah,
using for all this kind of stuff. And I was listening to Mike Hurley and Jason Stell on Upgrade, and Mike's going to use his 15 Pro Max as his webcam. Right? So that's the
yeah,
other place that these things are just they're phenomenal. So I can't. I'm super pleased. I know next year we're supposed to get a redesign and maybe that thin iPhone or whatever it is. If it's not the best, I'm not interested in it. I'm just interested in the best all around, right? And especially
Yeah.
when it's, I don't know, when are they going to hit this point where the cameras don't make these leaps forward? Oh, that's the other thing. We didn't mention this. The other big thing on the 16, I think that all of them got it, but that 48 megapixel macro lens, the
Hmm.
wide lens, ultra wide lens. I mean, I sent you some pictures of some flowers that I've taken, and I've always taken pretty good pictures of flowers, but that
Yeah.
48 megapixel camera is just unreal. And if you watch any of Tyler Stallman's stuff, the detail he pulled out of a leaf with that macro
Yeah.
lens was just ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm super pleased, super excited about what this has to offer for the next year. And Jay's going to get his, and then we'll hear his review on his phone when he gets it. He's going to get done with this podcast. He's going to go place his online order and then keep
Yeah.
looking in store. I'm going to place the order for my iPad mini, I think, and then we'll see if I cancel it before it comes up. We'll debate on the watch back and forth, but that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we're. Let me check the store now. Let's see. I have time this morning before I have to get to work.
All right, folks.
So run down
Well,
there.
thanks a lot for joining us today. Next week, we'll have another episode, probably some more follow-up on this stuff. And if not, we'll have hopefully next week. I'm not committing to next week. I'm not committing to future recordings the way
Right.
things are going lately. So, but we'll be back. Thanks for joining us. Share it out. Let us know if there's anything else you want to see. Jay, got anything else for us?
Some arcade video repair
Oh, yeah.
videos restore. I got part 2 coming up.
Yeah, if you didn't check that out in our feed, Jay showed us the bare bones of his Pac-Man arcade cabinet. So go take a look at that. So pretty
Yep.
cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
See you next time.